So if you were to tell your manager right now, say our producer Ruth, that you were leaving the company to go work for someone else, do you think she will fight to keep you?
She better.
She better. So it's a question at the center of this really highly divisive management strategy called the keeper test. And this was actually launched by one of Netflix co-founders and is still a management practice that Netflix does till this day.
It's really interesting. I've read about this before because it's not just something that you apply when someone says they're leaving, because often by the time someone says they're leaving, it's kind of too late and there are other things in play. It's more when you're working out whether you want to promote someone or making any decisions about their career as their manager. You ask yourself, if they left, would I fight to keep them?
Right.
Does that make sense?
But I think it's also something that you can use
As the employee
to get feedback and kind of put your manager on the spot. Like just telling them like, hey, if I was going to go to a competitor right now, how hard would you fight to keep me?
So the question is, how much am I valued?
Yeah, how much am I valued? And the idea is that you want your company to have high performers. So you know how so many companies are like, we're not a company, we're a family. This is the keepers test is saying, no, it shouldn't be a family. It should be a high performing sports team. So like sports team, you want the best of the best. You want athletes, you want top of their game. That should be the same in companies.
I have so much to say about this.
This segment's also brought to you by Capitalism.
It is.
Okay, companies should not be like families. Companies should not be like professional sports teams. Companies should be like a workplace, and we should stop trying to make them other things. Workplaces, the thing about a sports team or an athlete is that as someone who is now an expert in Formula One, the amount of investment that goes into an athlete from, like in Australia, you went to the Australian Institute of Sport on the taxpayer dollar. You were trained. You probably got given a performance psychologist. You are being given the big bucks to perform, right? That's an enormous amount of investment. To treat your junior admin assistant who's been here for 2.5 weeks the same as a sports person is so ludicrous to me because
I think
we've
you're
not
being
invested
a bit literal though, because I think for both the employee and the employer, you want people who are going to thrive in whatever role they're in, right? And so to thrive in a role, you have to be able to do it well.
Yes, but don't you think that you have to give them time? You have to let them attempt that role in an atmosphere that isn't filled with fear and pressure? Like I know that as an employee, if I feel watched, that's when I'll start making lots and lots of mistakes, right? Like I look at this and I think I almost get defensive because I think if this was—
But why would someone be watching you in that way if you were doing a good job?
Well, because if you're constantly going, let's rank people, let's go, who's a performer, who's a regrettable loss, who can we afford to lose, blah, 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 and treating it like a professional sports team, then we're going, you know what, Jessie made 2 mistakes today. And then we become almost like hyper vigilant at the surveillance on Jessie that makes me make more mistakes.
Yeah, I get that, but I've never been in a management meeting where it's like this person made 1 mistake or 2 mistakes. If this person is making mistakes every day, then they're not suited for that role, and it's not good for them or the business or their co-workers to keep them in that role just for vibes.
I kind of see both of your points. Like to your point, Jessie, about it being I actually think it should be kind of a sports environment because I think similar to, as you said, like with the F1 drivers, that company does invest a lot into the drivers. And I think companies should invest a lot into their employees. Like if you have a high performer employee that you don't want to lose, you need to show them that. You need to invest in that person. You need to give them promotions when they deserve a promotion. You need to give them pay rises when they deserve pay rises. And that's how you can keep your best performing athletes in the company. Like you have a bigger retention for them.
I also reckon though—
But that's management 101. That's not like—
I reckon though, when I was reading about the keeper test is I went, this cannot be untangled from an American context. And by that I mean in the US, you can fire an employee tomorrow. Like their employment laws are very different to Australia. So the idea of a keeper test where you can kind of look at everyone as a team and go, yeah, M isn't performing. Let's get rid of M and let's get this person in.
Yeah,
their economy works
culture,
that way.
So what you're
It's
pushing
culture.
back on is the culture of it being cutthroat.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. But if you talk about the back to the team analogy, when you think about a team, let's say a netball team, if your goal attack isn't performing well, you have an obligation to the rest of the team to replace her or help her to improve. You can't just go, oh, well, she's trying. Because like in a business, if you've got someone who's not thriving in their role, that impacts on everybody in the team. So as an employer, you have an obligation to your customers, to your staff, to your shareholders, whoever, but definitely to your other staff to either find a role that's better suited to them or replace them with someone who can do that role better.
I think what Netflix did wrong with the keeper test is that they made it public knowledge that they're doing a keeper test. And I think when you're an employee and you know that there's this huge management strategy that if you don't perform, you're going to be kicked out, you're just living in fear every single day. And you would, I don't know, not contribute to brainstorms because you're scared you'll have the wrong idea. You might not own up to mistakes because you're scared you'll be fired. I think it can do real damage to the actual overall of the company, and you'll just have these 3 people at the top who are just the high performers who are succeeding in that one type of environment.
Is it like so controversial to want people to be good at their job?
I don't think it's about that. I think it's about the culture that you create, right? Because if you want a culture where people can take risks, where people can make mistakes.
Depends on the industry. If you're an air traffic controller, that's not the culture you want, where people can make mistakes and take risks. So I think it's incredibly dependent on the type of job you're talking about and the industry that you're talking about.
But the sense that your employment could be terminated at any point.
Which it can't in Australia.
Which it can't in Australia, but it can in sort of the Netflix example. There's all these studies about what it does to employee satisfaction and like from absenteeism to reduced productivity to anxiety, stress-related health issues.
Yeah, there have been some reviews of people who have worked at Netflix. So a former Netflix executive assistant said, terrifying with anxiety 24/7.
Also the cost of turnover. Can be like turnover. Maya, you'll know this. You know something about business. Isn't turnover like expensive and time consuming? Like you don't constantly want staff turnover. You just want to keep the good people, right?
Yeah, that's what the keeper test is.
The keeper test encourages turnover.
Please don't ever start a business. I think what you're talking about is a charity.
No, I think because this was saying that the turnover becomes too high. So you would look around and you would almost do constant redundancies, being like, you're out, you're out, you're out, you're out. And it's like the cost of retraining people is.
Yeah, that's why I think that you want to do that at the point of employment.
Yes.
Not once they're in. So the trick is to really refine, and we've learned a lot about this over the last sort of 20 years of running Mamamia. You want to spend a lot of time making sure the fit's right. Because just because the fit's not right at one place doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that person or anything wrong with that company. It just means the fit's not right. It's like any relationship. You can have 2 great people, but they're just not right together. So for the benefit of the business, for the benefit of the employee, you always want to spend time making sure that fit's as right as possible. Now, sometimes you just can't tell until it happens. And it's never easy when the fit's not right. But usually people know. They can feel it. I know I've felt it when I've been in that situation.
I think that what you would want to do is create a workplace, not a sports team, that kind of invests in everyone and gives people time. I think that's the other thing, to learn how to do their roles right. And as you say, Maya, sometimes it's just not kind to leave people in a job that they're incapable of doing.
It's never kind.
And so I completely understand, freeing up that person's future.
Yeah, freeing up their future.
Yeah, but I'm like allergic to the cutthroat sports team analogy. I do not play professional sport and stop reading my
very good reason.
For a very good reason, and it is my knees.
Imagine a laundry day that just works. Instead of taking over your day, it fits in seamlessly because getting it done is a cinch. Miele washing machines are built to make life easier. With small features and a design that fits right into your routine, Twin DOS takes the guesswork out of detergent, automatically adding the right amount every time, whether you're washing silks or everyday basics. Clothes come out clean, fresh, and ready to go. When it's time to dry, Miele's heat pump dryer uses gentle, even heat to treat your clothes with care. No shrinking, no overheating, just great results. With Miele, laundry isn't a chore, it's one less thing to worry about. Once a Miele, always a Miele.